Okay, the lighting's good. The baby's asleep. I am wearing a onesie, but that is okay. I'm just going to do this video. Oh my gosh, hi. Welcome back to my channel. I am happy to have you here. Today, I am going to do the first video and what I hope to create like a self-help series. I don't see a lot of self-help books on BookTube, but that could be because I haven't sought many out. But I am, as I talked about in my January wrap-up, I find self-help to be something that I need in my life really badly right now. So if you're the same, then you may take something from my process of diving back into self-help. I used to be really, really into self-help books. A company that I joined a few years ago suggested that you read a self-help book. You read from a self-help book for at least 10 minutes or 10 pages every day. And for a long time, I did that, and I actually gained a lot from that. So, but then slowly I got away from that somehow, and I feel like something is telling me that I really need to get back into that. As I said, I've struggled with negativity. I was comparing myself to others. I feel sort of lost in my process right now. And I am totally fine with being completely honest about that and vulnerable about that. Because that's the only way that I've ever learned from anybody, is if they're vulnerable and honest with me. So I respect you guys enough to do the same. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. Today, the first book that I'm going to talk about is The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. And I'm going to get into why. So I heard about this book first from Krissy, the Whimsy. I feel like I talk about her in every single one of my videos, but it's just because she's so wonderful. She is also an artist, and she's really into tea, and she is a wonderful lady. I really respect what she has to say, and she talked about this book. And when she was talking about this book, I will link that video that she spoke about it in the description box. So please go check it out. I wouldn't call this a review, what I'm doing. I'm just going to talk about my experience with it, who should read it, would you like it, and I'll just give you a little bit of an introduction to it. And if you end up wanting to read it, wonderful. If you've already read it, please let me know if you had the same opinion on it. So who do I think would like this book? So this book is really calling out to, so the subtext of this is break through the blocks and win your inner creative battles. So I'm thinking that you would benefit from this book if you are an artist, if you are trying to write a book, if you're trying to make more art, make more art is very, very general, but any type of art, or if you're trying to start a business, or if you're trying to really do anything that's not like your typical 9-to-5 job that you hate, but you do it because you have to pay the bills. Basically, this book is for you. I did only end up giving it the 3 out of 5 stars, like I said, but that's just because the more and more that I got into it, the less and less I was excited to read it. So a 5 out of a 5-star book for me is one that I got a whole lot out of. I need to have it on my bookshelf so that I can read it again, because I love to reread books. I feel like you get something new out of every book that you reread. I think that you get a new thing every time. So am I talking really fast? I feel like I am. Also, if you didn't see my video of me organizing my bookshelves, which should already be posted, but I don't know if it will be or not, I did These are all my books now. In my original videos, they were not my books. Just the books of the baby books were my books. These are all mine. So I'm so happy to be sitting in front of my books now. I feel like a different type of energy. So that was just a shout out to my books behind me. So yeah, back to this. Yeah, I did end up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars, but I think that you would benefit from it if you have, number one, never read it. Number two, you're just not totally satisfied with your life. If you have any type of goals that you seem to like keep not achieving or seem to keep like backing away from, shying away from, you would probably benefit from this book. I say that because when it first starts out, Pressfield talks about him beating resistance. Now, if you have never read this book, honestly, I don't know if other people talk about resistance as like the enemy or not, because I've never read another book before about resistance. I think that in self-help universe, resistance is, it could be the ego. And like, if you have read The Power of Now, it's the enemy. It's the part of yourself that keeps you from doing what you know would fulfill your soul. And Pressfield really talks a lot about what resistance is, what it looks like, why you do it, and why it's so important for you to beat it. So here is a quote that I read from it about resistance that I really liked. And it says, resistance outwits the amateur with the oldest trick in the book. It uses his own enthusiasm against him. Resistance gets us to plunge into a project with an overambitious and unrealistic timetable for its completion. It knows we can't sustain that level of intensity. We will hit the wall. We will crash. And this is especially true for myself. When I get really into something, I'm like, okay, I have to do it full force, perfect. And I set these unrealistic goals for myself. And that is why I am probably in the situation that I'm in and not fully content in my life. So this is a very true quote for me. I do have a picture in here. Hopefully you can see it. I drew it from the book because I don't own this book. And again, I don't think I'll read it again. So this is a really interesting part. Hey, honey, I'm just filming a YouTube video. Can I give you a call back? I'm almost done.
No.
Please.
No.
Why?
Yes. I love you, bitch.
I love you too, honey.
I'll always love you.
I'll always love you too.
You ever seen that video?
No, I haven't.
No. Alright, bye.
Can I give you a call back?
Maybe.
All right.
Decide to answer.
Okay. You decide to answer. All right. I love you.
Love you, bye.
All right. Bye. So you have the self, and then you have the ego, and then all around that is divine ground. So Tom Laughlin is a lecturer, and he's a Jungian school psychologist, whose specialty is working with people who have been diagnosed with cancer. So the moment a person learns he's got terminal cancer, a profound shift takes place in his psyche. At one stroke in the doctor's office, he becomes aware of what really matters to him. Things that 60 seconds earlier had seemed all important suddenly appear meaningless, while people and concerns he had till then dismissed at once take on supreme importance. Other thoughts occur to the patient diagnosed as terminal. What about that gift he had for music? What became of the passion he once felt to work with the sick and the homeless? Why do these unlived lives return now with such power and poignancy? Faced with our imminent extinction, Tom Laughlin believes all assumptions are called into question. What does our life mean? Have we lived it right? Are there vital acts we've left unperformed? Crucial words unspoken? is it too late? So it's like the song Live Like You Were Dying. It's like all these things that this person did when they found out that they were dying, and they hope you someday get a chance to live like you were dying. The self is a greater entity, which includes the ego, but also incorporates the personal and collective unconscious. Dreams and intuitions come from the self. The archetypes of the unconscious dwell there. It is, Jung believed, the sphere of the soul. Okay, so what happens in that instant when we learn we may soon die, Tom Laughlin contends, is that the seat of our consciousness shifts. It moves from the ego to the self. The world is entirely new, viewed from the self. At once, we discern what's really important. Superficial concerns fall away, replaced by a deeper, more profoundly grounded perspective. So this is how his foundation battles cancer, actually, which I thought was really interesting. He counsels his clients not just to make that shift mentally, but to live it out in their lives. So he supports the housewife in resuming her career in social work, urges the businessman to return to the violin, assists the Vietnam vet to write his novel. Miraculously, cancers go into remission. People recover. Is it possible, Tom Laughlin asks, that the disease itself evolved as a consequence of actions taken or not taken in our lives? Could our unlived lives have exacted their vengeance upon us in the form of cancer? And if they did, can we cure ourselves now by living these lives out? So that is really, really interesting because I'm also currently listening to Louise Hay. I am listening to not You Can Heal Your Life. It is, I never remember what the name of it is. Anyways, it's a book by Louise Hay. I will talk about it in another video. But she's talking about disease as being a dis-ease, which I'm sure that you've maybe heard of before, maybe not, where illnesses crop up in the body where we are struggling. So I'm gonna have to take more specific notes in her book because she really talks about this a lot too. So is maybe disease cropping up in us where we're like our body's fighting against us because we're not expressing ourselves the way we were meant to. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not a doctor or a scientist for sure. But it's just something interesting to maybe learn about. That's pretty much all I'm going to say on that part because I don't want anyone to get offended. Cancer is obviously everywhere, and I don't want anybody to say that if you just become more creative, then maybe you won't get cancer. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it was a really interesting aspect of the book that I really enjoyed. Yeah, I really thought that it was an interesting book. Like I said, when I first started it, it really was kickstarting me to start to sit down and write more, read more, do more of like the YouTube, because to me that's a major creative outlet. Yeah, I don't know if this book, it wasn't like life-changing for me, but I think that it is for some people. So I still certainly would recommend you pick it up if any of these things sound interesting to you. It's so important to know why you feel the way you do when you're not creating when you know that you should be. So book 1 is talking about resistance. In book 2, he talks about how to combat resistance. In book 3, he talks about the higher realm, which I also really, really enjoyed. He, if you never really think about religious or not, like the gods who may or may not be there, and he essentially talks about them in such a way that they are on your side, which I really, really enjoyed. So it was like talking about this whole higher realm, not in like a religious way or in a non-religious way. It was just like his beliefs, and I thought that it was really, really interesting that like these gods are up there like conspiring for you if you like take the action yourself. it's like how there are forces that are against us, but also forces that are for us. So, like, resistance is a force against you, but there might still be forces for you. And for me, I like to think of that there's like a team of something like for me, you know. So I'll just leave it here that this is a wonderful book for an artist who has essentially lost their way or who is maybe afraid of finding their way. If you like simply written books that slap you in the face with reality and telling you that you really should be doing what you feel that you should be doing, this is definitely the book for you. So, yeah, if you have read this book, let me know what your experience was with it, what your favorite part of it was. Did you have the same experience? I would really like to know. Or even like leaving a comment of what your favorite self-help books are. I am going on self-help bender, so this should definitely be interesting. And I will talk about every single self-help book that I read in this series here, and definitely let me know if you're interested in that. I'm going to do it anyways, but just let me know if that sounds like interesting to you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm seeing that this is like 25 minutes right now, so I need to edit it like crazy, but I hope that you enjoyed this book. Thank you so much for constantly stopping by. I do appreciate you, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.